A bomb dropped by Adam Schefter not even 20 minutes ago. What's up, guys? BK, Brad Kellner. It's Sunday, February 6th, 2022. I just finished up the Tuck Rule 30 for 30 with Tom Brady and Charles Woodson. Was thinking it was going to be a casual night, a relaxed night, and pull out my phone, check Twitter, and Adam Schefter tweets out a crazy development in the Texans' search for their next head coach. He tweeted this out at 8:26, not even 20 minutes ago. Quote, Texans are now in talks with their associate head coach and defensive coordinator, Lovie Smith, about potentially becoming their next head coach. Schefter followed up by tweeting, Texans have included Lovie Smith in their discussions all along, but his candidacy as head coach has gained steam in recent days, per source. And then a few minutes after that, Adam Schefter tweeted out, Texans still believe Josh McCown will one day be a great head coach, but it just doesn't look like today. So for a while, it's felt like Josh McCown has been the favorite for the Texans head coaching job. And now, at least according to Adam Schefter and a few other reporters out there, I saw Aaron Wilson, who covers the Texans more specifically than Adam Schefter does. He tweeted that Josh McCown is no longer a candidate for the Texans job. So it appears now that Lovie Smith is the front runner to be the next head coach of the Houston Texans, and this news comes out of nowhere. Apparently, Lovie Smith is about to interview for the first time or has just interviewed for the first time, but Josh McCown already interviewed twice. Jonathan Gannon already interviewed twice. Brian Flores already interviewed twice. It felt like those were the three finalists. And then you had the Brian Flores lawsuit that dropped at the beginning of last week. Kind of felt like, all right, that removed Brian Flores from consideration. So it sort of felt like a two-horse race between McCown and Gannon. And all of a sudden, Lovie Smith, who Adam Schefter has been a part of this thing all along, I find that very hard to believe, he appears to be the front runner. So the Texans themselves tweeted out last weekend that their three finalists were Josh McCown, Jonathan Gannon, and Brian Flores. And out of left field, it appears that not only a finalist, but now the favorite / front runner for this gig is Lovie Smith. And I'm checking Twitter over and over and over again to see if there's something official about Lovie Smith being the guy. I think this is a total pivot by the Houston Texans, by the way. I don't care what Adam Schefter says. I think Adam Schefter's being fed some stuff by the Texans front office about Lovie being a candidate this whole time. I think the Texans are changing course after what's gone on in the football world over the last week. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Brian Flores lawsuit. I really do. I think if that lawsuit doesn't happen, Josh McCown is announced as the Texans head coach this past week. Like, I think it happens in the middle of the week, and there's a press conference towards the end of the week, and that's the decision the Texans make. Well, the Flores lawsuit comes out. The Texans maybe pivot. They think they have some conversations. Hey, we just fired David Culley, a black coach, after 1 year, and we're about to hire Josh McCown. Is that really our best course of action? Josh McCown, a guy who has zero coaching experience at the NFL or college level. Spent a lot of time as a player in the NFL, of course. Everybody knows that. Journeyman backup quarterback. But as a coach, his only experience was as a volunteer assistant at his son's high school at Rusk outside of Tyler last year. That's it. Like, that's all of the experience that Josh McCown has as a coach. And I don't even know if you can call it experience because he was a volunteer. But I think the Texans kind of thought things through and were like, man, is this really a good move to make? I mean, the Texans would have been lambasted regardless of the Flores lawsuit if they had made a guy with zero coaching experience their next head coach. But after the Flores lawsuit, I think that changed the timeline of things for the Texans. And I think they might have thought better of making that decision. And I think a lot of Texans fans are not too upset with Lovie Smith if that, in fact, is the direction the Texans decide to go. Lovie Smith has a ton of coaching experience. He did a tremendous job as the defensive coordinator for this team this season, exceeded my expectations. Considering the talent he had to work with, I thought he did a great job this year for the Texans defense. Obviously, he's been a head coach in this league multiple times, went to a Super Bowl as the Bears head coach, was there for 8 or 9 years, then had a bad 2-year stint in Tampa, was a head coach at Illinois in college. I don't think he wants us talking about that. That did not go too well. But Lovie Smith has been a football guy. He's been around the game as a head coach. and just as a coach in general for a long time. And Josh McCown obviously has not. So we'll take your comments, by the way. If you're watching this, we are live on YouTube. So whatever you guys think about this development, once again, I don't care what Adam Schefter or Field Yates or anybody on Twitter says. This is not something that's been going on behind the scenes for a while. Lovie Smith was not getting interviews. I don't think he was seriously considered as a candidate. I think this is a total pivot, for better or for worse, by the Houston Texans. Andrew, fair question. Are the Texans going to hire Lovie and then fire him after next season and hire Josh McCown? I don't know. Like my assumption is Josh McCown will be on this staff next year. It doesn't sound like he's going to be the head coach anymore, but he's got a relationship with Lovie Smith. And Lovie Smith loves Josh McCown, and Josh McCown has spoken highly of Lovie Smith in the past as well. So there's a relationship between Lovie and Josh McCown. You know the Texans at least like, if not love, McCown because they interviewed him 3 times in 13 months to be their next head coach. Clearly, the Texans have a vision for Josh McCown, and I think the Texans would like Josh McCown to be on this staff in some form or fashion. So my guess is, McCown, if not the OC, he will be the quarterback's coach or something on this staff. But the question you ask, Andrew, I think is a fair one, right? We just saw David Culley go one and done here. Lovie Smith is up there in age, man. Like, Lovie Smith is not some spring chicken. He's not a guy that I think wants to be a head coach for 10 years. And I don't think the Texans want him to be a coach for 10 years. So it felt like David Culley was a bridge guy. Felt that way when he was hired, right? I know he signed a 5-year deal, but I think everybody in this town assumed that, all right, maybe he'd get 2-3 years max. And then once the Texans start to be more competitive, they'll bring in a better coach. David Culley obviously got 1 year. Lovie Smith, I don't know what the plan is for him. Like I can't imagine he's the long-term answer for the Texans at head coach. So maybe this gives them some time to groom Josh McCown a little bit. And whether it's a firing of Lovie after a year or two, or just a retirement or a mutual parting of the ways or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the long-term plan is Josh McCown. And look, Josh McCown, who knows what he'll do? Maybe he's pissed off at this news. Maybe he thought he was going to be the head coach. I mean, he interviewed 3 times to be the head coach in a 13-month span. Usually, if you get those interviews, if you get that many interviews in that short of amount of time, you're usually the guy. So maybe Josh McCown is like, I don't want to be here. They led me astray. They gave me blue balls, right? They teased me. They basically insinuated that I was going to be the guy, and then they opted for somebody else. Josh McCown maybe goes to Jacksonville to be on Doug Peterson's staff. Those two guys have a relationship together. Maybe Josh McCown decides he wants nothing to do with the Texans because he feels like he was misled throughout this entire process. I don't know. But, man, this is absolutely insane. So Lovie Smith, apparently the front runner. I didn't think Lovie Smith even wanted to be a head coach anymore. But I'm sure the Texans are sweetening the pot if they do make an offer to Lovie to be the guy. So once again, I keep refreshing Twitter. That's why I'm looking to the side. According to Ian Rappaport, this is from 1 minute ago, guys. The Texans interviewed Lovie Smith earlier tonight. So there was no interview last week, nothing 2 weeks ago. All of the stuff that Schefter tweeted out about Lovie being in consideration throughout this entire time doesn't seem to be the case. This feels like a pivot by the Texans organization. And Lovie Smith got his first interview tonight. Keep in mind, Flores, McCown, and Gannon all had 2 interviews for this job. And the Texans last weekend basically said, I mean, they tweeted it themselves, that they pretty much had a final 3. And Lovie Smith was not in that final 3. Rappaport says Brian Flores also remains a candidate. I don't think that's the case. I don't think Flores is getting a job right now with this lawsuit out there. I don't think Flores was going to get the Texans job anyways. But with the lawsuit out there, I know he's not specifically suing the Texans, but he's suing the NFL. The Texans are in the NFL. That just seems like a potential can of worms that I don't think Cal McNair and the Houston Texans want to open right now. So I don't view Brian Flores at this point as a realistic candidate, even though a ton of Texans fans would love him. I mean, Brian Flores, he's got the resume. Obviously, when you compared him to Josh McCown, night and day difference between those two guys. But this is nuts. Now you've got some national guys saying that Josh McCown is seemingly out of the search as well. So my expectation was that we'd have a decision, like an official decision, and an official announcement either tomorrow or Tuesday. Maybe we get it tomorrow, but maybe it's somebody completely out of left field in Lovie Smith. All right, keep the comments coming, guys. Appreciate y'all stopping by an emergency Sunday night YouTube live. Yeah, Aaron, I don't think you're alone, man. I think a lot of Texans fans agree with you. I've started this hashtag on the show, which I never really tweeted it out. I don't think just saying hashtags actually does anything. But the hashtag ABM is what I've been preaching. Anyone but McCown. And I think a lot of Texans fans have been subscribed to that theory over the last week or two. ABM, anyone but McCown. So, Aaron, yeah, a lot of people probably pleased to see that Josh McCown is apparently not going to be the Texans' next head coach. Tom Pelissero tweeted 10 minutes ago that Lovie's interview is coming tomorrow. Ian Rappaport tweeted just now that Lovie's interview was tonight. This is absolutely insane. The Texans are a clown show, guys. This is ridiculous. What an absurd coaching search. And it's not even over yet. Just when you thought we were like almost done and we thought you had things figured out, you never have things figured out with this Houston Texans team. Never a dull moment covering the Texans. Man, I went from covering the Texas Longhorns to the Houston Texans. Never a dull moment covering UT football over the last 10, 12 years. As I moved from Austin to Houston, it hadn't changed. Never a boring moment. Never an off day. Never an off season covering the Houston Texans. What a bizarre off season it's been already. That's a good question, Toast. If Lovie Smith becomes the next head coach with a new DCB, I don't know. Maybe they'd promote from within. Man, I would have loved Bobby King to be in consideration. He was the D-line coach for the Texans last year. He's been on the defensive staff for the last 3 seasons, but a couple of days ago, he took the inside linebacker's job in Tennessee. So he's joining Mike Vrabel's staff. For my money, Bobby King was this team's best defensive assistant this past season, and you could argue he has been for the last couple of years, but he just took a job in Tennessee. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a promotion from within. I don't know if it's a Lovie guy from somewhere else that Lovie has coached in the past. I'm not sure. My guess is it would still be Lovie Smith's defense that the Texans are running if he, in fact, is the head coach here. But I don't know what their plans would be for DC. Lovie is fine. I'm glad it's not McCown. Let's get someone to develop Mills as offensive coordinator. Yeah, well, once again, I don't know if anybody's like thrilled with Lovie Smith if he, in fact, is the Texans' next head coach. But once again, ABM, anyone but McCown. Lovie Smith has experience, had a good run in Chicago, especially at the start of his tenure in Chicago. Things didn't end well there. Things did not go well in 2014 and 2015 in Tampa, which was the last time Lovie Smith was a head coach. But once again, he's got experience. Like, it's way easier to justify Lovie Smith getting this job than Josh McCown getting this job. But yeah, if Lovie Smith is in fact the dude, the offensive coordinator is the most important hire Lovie's going to make. I don't even know if it's Lovie making the hire. David Culligan didn't get to pick his own staff. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's Caserio and Easterby making the decision for Lovie Smith. Like, hey, we'll make you the head coach, but this guy's got to be your OC. And maybe this guy is Josh McCown. Maybe that's who it is. Maybe that's the Texans' plan to develop Davis Mills and also develop Josh McCown as a potential head coach in the future. But yeah, bringing in somebody to develop Davis Mills and make sure he takes the next step is paramount. And look, if Davis Mills isn't the guy, well, you're probably spending your first round pick in 2023 on a quarterback. You'd like to have a good offensive coordinator in place to help develop that rookie, whoever you bring in, a Bryce Young, a CJ Stroud, a DJ Uiagalelei, whoever the hell it is. You would like to have a quality offensive coordinator in place to help take care of that. As soon as we trade Deshaun, the rebuilding. Yeah, of course, the Deshaun trade is the most important thing that happens this offseason. Ross, so it's between Lovie and Flores, right? I don't think Flores is a candidate. A couple of national guys have tweeted over the last few minutes saying that Brian Flores is a candidate. I think the lawsuit takes him out of consideration. I know he hinted at, maybe he said it outright, I can't remember, but at least hinted at dropping the lawsuit if he got the job here in Houston or the Saints job. Those are the only 2 openings right now since the Dolphins are going to hire Mike McDaniel, apparently. So he said he would drop the lawsuit, but I don't think any team wants that right now. So I don't think Brian Flores is a realistic candidate, no. And it doesn't sound like McCown's a candidate. It doesn't sound like Jonathan Gannon's a candidate anymore. I mean, it feels like the Texans are sending the message that it is between Lovie and Flores, just based on the tweets that I'm getting. But I don't know if that's a PR stunt from the Texans or if that's legit. My guess is it's more of a PR thing. My guess is Brian Flores is not a realistic candidate for this job. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong. And I would like Brian Flores to be the head coach here. I think he's a very good coach. He didn't get fired in Miami because of his record. He got fired because of disagreements with the GM and the front office there. So Flores is a good coach, man. Yeah, Andrew, it feels like we're trending towards this. Gannon was told no, and Flores is suing the league, and McCown isn't ready to be a head coach. That only leaves Lovie, right? That's kind of what it feels like right now. Oh, man. Justin, did they make a run at either of the Harbaughs? No. Neither of the Harbaughs would have taken this job. John's obviously happy in Baltimore. He wasn't going to leave the Ravens to come to this dumpster fire of a franchise. And Jim, I don't think would have taken this job either. I would have loved the Texans to have made a run at Jim Harbaugh. I can't believe the Vikings screwed that up. I don't care about the reports that said Jim Harbaugh didn't interview great in Minnesota last week. Like, that guy is one of the best NFL head coaching candidates in years. His track record as an NFL coach is incredible. I don't care if he shows up drunk, high, both. I don't care if he was speaking Spanish during his interview. I want that guy as the head coach. The Vikings blew that. But I don't think Harbaugh would have taken this job, and I don't think the Texans made a run at Harbaugh because they probably knew he wasn't going to take the job. So, no, to answer your question, Justin, but I appreciate you stopping by. Matthew, I believe Jimmy G is going to be the Texans quarterback. Yeah, I hope not. I mean, that does absolutely nothing for anybody because Jimmy G right now is better than Davis Mills. So I guess this Jimmy G would start next year. And what's the point of keeping Davis Mills on the bench? Like, Jimmy G is not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He had everything around him in San Francisco and couldn't get it done. Great coach, super talented defense, great skill position players. I mean, like, that was a perfect situation. The situation he had in San Fran was way better than anything he'd be walking into in Houston, and he wasn't good enough to get it done there. So, yeah, Jimmy G, who's already 30, coming here, does absolutely nothing for me except prevent Davis Mills from playing, which is stupid. I don't want that. You might be right, Matthew, but I hope that's not the direction the Texans plan on going with at quarterback. Lovie Smith and Pep Hamilton. Yeah, I guess Pep Hamilton's still in the mix, too, to be this team's OC. I wouldn't mind that at all. Lovie Smith. Pep Hamilton interviewed for a couple of jobs. I know the Panthers and the Giants. The Panthers ended up going with Ben McAdoo. Pep actually took his own name out of consideration for that job a couple of weeks ago. And the Giants ended up going with Mike Kafka, the Chiefs quarterbacks coach. So right now, Pep Hamilton is still here. And he was the QB coach last year. I give him a ton of credit for what he did with Davis Mills. Davis Mills was tremendous in the second half of the season. Second best rookie quarterback behind only Mac Jones this year. There's something there. And I think Pep Hamilton deserves some credit for bringing that out of Davis Mills in the latter part of this season. So, yeah, if it's Lovie and Pep Hamilton, you could do worse. No doubt about that. I don't know if Pep wants to stay. I don't know if Pep is just like, hey, if you guys give me a nice pay raise and a better title, then I absolutely will stay. I don't know if another team reaches out to Pep Hamilton to bring him on their staff if he just says, I'm out of here. But Lovie and Pep, not the worst combo. I agree with you, JP. Yeah, the Texans only make serious runs at guys who other teams wouldn't even look at. Yeah, the Texans, before tonight, and I guess Lovie Smith now makes it 7, but before tonight, the Texans had interviewed 6 candidates for their head coaching vacancy, and 3 of those 6 did not talk to any other team. 3 of the 6 candidates the Texans interviewed were not interviewed by anybody else. Josh McCown, Hines Ward, and Joe Lombardi. Those 3 guys, nobody else wanted to talk to. Of course, Brian Flores was interviewed by a couple of other teams. Kevin O'Connell got the Vikings job. He was interviewed by a couple of other teams. And Jonathan Gannon was interviewed by a couple of other teams as well. But half of the people the Texans talked to did not talk to anybody else. Ridiculous. McCown out of left field. Hines Ward out of deep left field. And Joe Lombardi, he was an offensive coordinator this past season, so not super crazy, but nobody else interviewed him. So, yeah, it's been a bizarre coaching search, guys. One of the weirdest coaching searches that I've ever seen in the NFL. And it took a weird turn. Like, if it was going to be McCown or Gannon tomorrow or Tuesday, then it still would have been weird. But now that you've got this Lovie Smith news dropping, this is a whole nother level of weirdness. Stunning. All right, quick Twitter refresh just to make sure that I'm not missing anything important. I'm going to retweet this from the ESPN account. Hopefully they don't get mad at me for that. I don't know why they would. I'll read some more of y'all's comments. By the way, appreciate y'all stopping by. Thank you for the love. Please like this video if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to this channel too if you haven't yet. All kinds of Texans coverage on this channel. Also, if you're a Texas Longhorns fan, talk plenty of UT on this channel as well. But not talking UT tonight. JP, Flores was never a serious candidate, was he? Not with that lawsuit pending and the Texans listed on page 43 on it. How they treated Coley. Yeah, look, Flores's 2 interviews took place before the lawsuit was filed. So maybe for a time, Brian Flores was a legitimate candidate. He was the first person the Texans interviewed. That was a virtual interview. And I think he was the first person the Texans interviewed a second time. And that was an in-person interview last Monday. And then the lawsuit, I believe, came out on Tuesday. So I don't know if Brian Flores was like ever the favorite, but I mean, to get 2 interviews, he had to have been in the mix. And once again, both of those interviews took place before the lawsuit was filed. So, yeah, I think at one point Brian Flores was in serious consideration, but once the lawsuit came out, I think that took Brian Flores out of consideration. I don't know if he's ever going to coach again. He's not going to get a job this cycle. There's no doubt in my mind about that, but I don't know. I don't know if he coaches again. And he was open about that. He talked about that. Like, he might be sacrificing his own career, but he believes that he's making a difference for future generations of minority coaches. I respect that from Brian Flores. Matthew, do the Texans trade Tunsil? Yeah, I think there's a chance the Texans trade Tunsil. If they can get a good return, I hope they do. Cincinnati, with their last pick or second to last pick in the first round, would make a great trade partner. I would love that. The Bengals need some offensive line help. Clearly, they're in win now mode. Laremy Tunsil could still play. He's got a couple of years on his contract. He's still in his 20s. That is a destination that makes sense for me. And that would be a good return for the Texans. If they could somehow get a first. I know what they traded to go get Laremy Tunsil. I know they gave up a couple of first and change to go get that dude. Bill O'Brien's not in the league anymore, so you can't fleece a team as bad as Miami fleeced Houston in that deal. It's just not going to happen. But if you can get a first, late first, that'd be incredible. If not, a second, maybe a mid-round pick 2 in there, that'd be okay. Laremy Tunsil, a couple of years left on his contract. He's a great player, but I don't think he's going to help this team win and compete. And you can get something for him, maximize his value this offseason. I wouldn't hate that at all. John with the comment. Appreciate the love, guys. Thank you. Keep the comments coming. Keep the questions coming. Your thoughts about Josh McCown. I'm reading an Aaron Wilson tweet from 17 minutes ago. He said, quote, Texans were serious about Josh McCown, but have moved on to Lovie Smith per league sources. They aren't in talks with Brian Flores and previously ruled out Jonathan Gannon. If a Smith deal is struck, the Texans hire a very experienced candidate who is 89 and 87 as a head coach, end quote. So that goes to my theory that the Texans were going to hire Josh McCown. This is not me just saying that because I predicted it on the radio the last 2 weeks. I really think the Texans were going to hire Josh McCown, and then the lawsuit came out, and they second-guessed themselves. And that is insane to me. That's insane to me. Look, hiring Josh McCown would be insane to me. The guy's got 0 experience at all. That's taking a risk that you just don't need to take. And you hired a coach with 0 coordinator experience in David Coley, and you saw how that one failed. Josh McCown has way less experience than that. Like, to go back-to-back on coaches with 0 coordinator/head coaching experience would have been an unnecessary risk, would have been incredibly unconventional, maybe the most outside-the-box hire in the history of the NFL. I didn't think the Texans needed to do that. So you could argue that that's insane, that would have been insane if it did happen. But, man, to let the court of public opinion change your mind on who your head coach is going to be, that's more insane to me. Like, if the Texans really felt like Josh McCown gave them the best chance to win moving forward, they should have hired Josh McCown. If that's the guy that they had settled on, that's the guy that they believed was the best option for this franchise, that's the guy they needed to hire. I would have thought they were crazy. Everybody in this city would have thought they were crazy. But, I mean, if they were ready to roll with Josh McCown and they felt like he was the dude to let the court of public opinion change your mind, that's bad. Like, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. So Sarah Barshop just tweeted, thanks to my man CB, who was here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here, but Sarah Barshop tweeted, if Lovie Smith is hired to be the Texans' next head coach, Pep Hamilton is expected to be Houston's offensive coordinator. I like that. I think a lot of Texans fans would like that too. Not the sexiest combination out there, but Pep Hamilton did great things with Davis Mills this past season. He's been an offensive coordinator in this league before. Just to promote him from QB coach to OC, he'd be an upgrade over Tim Kelly. That's for damn sure. I'd like that. Keep some continuity in the building. I wonder what happens with Josh McCown. I wonder if the Texans try to bring him in as the quarterback's coach. I wonder if McCown takes a job somewhere else. I have no idea. But, yeah, Lovie and Pep, you could do a lot worse than those two. No doubt about that. All right, John, I put your comment up here. I don't think I ever read it. My bad, brother. Not a Texans fan, but I think Lovie is a very good coach. Always liked him from outside looking in. The defense overachieved. Yeah, the Texans defense overachieved with Lovie Smith. Absolutely. Considering the talent he had, considering some of the injuries and COVID issues the Texans dealt with this past season, the fact that in some metrics the Texans had a top 15 defense, in some metrics a top 10 defense. Very impressive considering what Lovie had to work with. Not only on defense, but also with the offensive ineptitude the Texans had. That doesn't make life any easier for a defensive coordinator. No complimentary football for the 2021 Houston Texans. So Lovie did a great job with his defense. I had my doubts. I had my skepticism going into the year, and he did a phenomenal job, exceeded my expectations. So, yeah, very good defensive mind. Once again, had some great years in Chicago, led the Bears to a Super Bowl. They lost to the Colts. They had Rex Grossman. That's getting to the Super Bowl with that guy as the coach. Couldn't have been easy. But yeah, you could do worse than Lovie Smith. You could do worse than Lovie Smith. But once again, he feels like another bridge guy to me, guys. I don't know if it's a one and done situation like David Coley, but let me look up Lovie Smith's age. Make sure I get this right. I don't want to crush the man here. He's 63. He's going to be 64 before next season starts. To me, it doesn't feel like a guy who's in for the long haul. There are some coaches in their 70s. Pete Carroll's in his 70s. Bruce Arians is getting there, but it doesn't happen too often. So I don't know what the long-term plan is for Lovie Smith. I don't know if this is a 1-year play, 2-year play, 3-year play, whatever. I have no clue. Checking Twitter again. Retweet some things. What do y'all think of this decision? What do y'all think of Nick Caserio and Jack Easterby now? Are you happy that it's Lovie and not McCown? Would you have preferred McCown? Would you have preferred Jonathan Gannon? Would you have preferred Brian Flores? I mean, it is looking like Lovie Smith, guys. Nothing official yet. Man. Crazy. Am I on the wheelhouse on ESPN? Yes, I am. Sports Productions. Weekdays from 3 to 7. ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. ESPN975.com if you are outside the listening area. But we'll be talking about this tomorrow. No doubt. We'll be talking about this all week. Clayton, Caserio will get as many coaches as he wants. The Easterby, McNair, Caserio love triangle will not be broken. It doesn't feel that way. This will be, of course, Nick Caserio's second head coaching hire. There are 3 current GMs who have had the opportunity to hire 3 head coaches. Tampa Bay, the Chargers, and I'll think of the third one. It's in my notes somewhere. But Tampa Bay was able to get Bruce Arians third time around. They were also able to get Tom Brady. That helps a GM. That helps a head coach. That helps everybody. The Chargers just hired their third head coach last offseason with Brandon Staley. Decent year one. They were better in 2021 than they were in 2020. I think everybody remembers their debacle Week 18 Sunday Night Football in that win-and-you're-in game where they lost to the Raiders in the final seconds of overtime. But still, for the most part for me, Staley did a good job. And Steve Keim in Arizona, the third and final active general manager, who got to hire 3 head coaches. And Keim's third head coach was Cliff Kingsbury. His second coach, Steve Wilkes, was one and done. Cliff Kingsbury, the third head coaching hire. And, well, if Cliff doesn't work out next year, then my guess is that Steve Keim is gone from Arizona. But, yeah, it sort of feels like that love triangle is untouchable right now. It sort of feels like that in the eyes of Cal, Jack and Nick can do no wrong. But, man, if this doesn't work, heads should roll. Normal organizations would get rid of people if a second coaching hire doesn't work, especially when it's as embarrassing as this one is. Oh, yep, good call, JP. Chris Greer just got to hire his third head coach, too, with Mike McDaniel coming in. So now 4 GMs have gotten to hire 3 head coaches. And my guess is, even if this Lovie Smith experiment fails miserably, Nick Caserio is going to get another opportunity to hire a head coach after this. So he'll make that 5. We'll go for a few more minutes, guys. Let me know what else is on your mind. Oh, how about this? From Josina Anderson, just coming up on my Twitter feed. Meanwhile, I'm told the Jaguars have submitted a request to interview Pep Hamilton for their offensive coordinator position, per league source. I mentioned earlier in the video that new Jags head coach Doug Peterson has a relationship with Josh McCown. McCown was in Philadelphia as a player for a couple of years while Peterson was a head coach for the Eagles. And Peterson has raved about McCown on various occasions. We actually speculated last week on the show that, well, if McCown gets an offer from Jacksonville, maybe he takes it. If McCown's not going to be the head coach here, maybe he's so pissed at the way he was treated by the Texans that he takes a job somewhere else. So now Pep Hamilton apparently in the mix for Jacksonville. I'm talking about 2 different guys at one time. I'm confusing myself, so you guys are definitely confused. But Pep Hamilton in the mix for Jacksonville apparently. So that could potentially throw a wrench in the Texans' plans, because there was a report a few minutes ago saying that if Lovie Smith was the head coach, the Texans would try to keep Pep Hamilton around as the OC. So we'll see what happens with Pep. Once again, he flirted with the Panthers. He flirted with the Giants. Maybe he doesn't want to be here. And I wouldn't blame Pep Hamilton if he left, right? Getting to work with Trevor Lawrence. I know Davis Mills was better than Trevor Lawrence this past season, but get the chance to work with Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick, who was regarded as the best drafted prospect at the quarterback position in years. You take that. Feels better to hitch your wagon to Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence than to Lovie Smith and Davis Mills. So maybe the Texans' plans of the Lovie Pep head coach OC combo might be falling through. This is nuts, guys. Absolutely insane. I was planning on doing a live stream tonight talking Texas Longhorn stuff, but had to shift gears. Checking Twitter again, making sure I'm not missing anything, making sure I'm not behind for y'all. Aaron Wilson saying that if Lovie Smith is retained, sources expect Frank Ross to remain this team's special teams coordinator. And there's also talk about Pep Hamilton being promoted to offensive coordinator. So that appears to be the Texans' plan right now. Once again, I'm expecting an official announcement tomorrow or Tuesday. Even before this Lovie bombshell was dropped about an hour ago by Adam Schefter, I had been hearing that a decision, an announcement was going to be made sometime tomorrow or Tuesday. And I figured it was Josh McCown or Jonathan Gannon. And now it appears that it's neither of those guys. All the smoke following Lovie Smith right now. So, yeah, I think we'll hear something official within the next couple of days. And there will be a press conference sometime this week. They're definitely going to get it done by the Super Bowl. Man, what a team to cover. What a team to root for if you're a Texans fan. Goodness gracious. Justin, been out of the Deshaun loop. Are they still wanting 3 first-round picks for him? Probably. Haven't heard any concrete rumors recently in regards to Deshaun Watson, but The Texans didn't trade him at the deadline because they were hoping to get more this offseason. So best case scenario for the Texans is Deshaun's able to clear up his legal situation before the draft, and the Texans can make a move and hopefully get 3 first-round picks and then some for Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, they're going to be looking for a lot. They should be looking for a lot. This is the most valuable asset the team has ever had. A quarterback in his 20s who's under contract for the next 4 seasons. Top 5 player at his position when he's on the field. Texans should be looking for at least 3 firsts. You look at some of the guys who have gone for 2 firsts in the past. Khalil Mack, Jamal Adams, a box safety. If those guys can go for 2 firsts, a franchise quarterback under team control for a few years is going to go for more than that. So, yeah, the Texans are still looking for a lot for Deshaun, but it's all going to depend on the legal situation. There were teams at the deadline who were reportedly interested in Deshaun, even if the legal situation wasn't completely taken care of. If it is taken care of, there will be more teams interested in Deshaun. I don't care what any GM or owner says. If they're asked about Deshaun right now, they're going to say, we're not interested, because it would be a PR nightmare to say you're interested in a guy facing 22 civil lawsuits and an open criminal investigation. But if that situation, big if, that situation gets squared away, then, yeah, a lot of teams will be interested in Deshaun, and the Texans' hope is that creates sort of a bidding war. But, of course, Deshaun has the no-trade clause too, so he's got to play with the Texans a little bit. Hopefully he does, at least, and gives the Texans some options. He could just say, I only want to go to Miami, or I only want to go to these 2 spots, so trade me to one of these 2 spots. And that obviously takes away from the bidding war that I was just talking about. Alvin Kamara was just arrested. After the Pro Bowl? He played in the Pro Bowl today, right? Goodness gracious. All right, we'll go for a few minutes. Any more questions or comments or thoughts that y'all have? Fire away. Would love to hear from you guys. Once again, the Wheelhouse coming up tomorrow from 3 to 7. We'll be talking about this, all of this. Maybe by the time we're on air tomorrow, there will be an official announcement from the team. But once again, it feels like Lovie is the guy at this very moment. 9:21 on Sunday night. Stunning. Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. I did not see this coming. I'm telling you, I think this is a pivot by the Texans. They might have changed their mind today. Apparently, they interviewed Lovie Smith tonight. Nick Caserio might have woken up this morning saying, we're doing this instead. Wild. Who are the Texans drafting? I'll take a draft question, Luke, and we'll talk more draft on this channel as we inch closer and closer to April. It depends, of course, on who goes 1 and 2. I would love for the Texans to get one of Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau, which would require the Jags drafting an offensive lineman, number 1 overall. And they might. You look at mock drafts, a lot of them have the Jags taking either Evan Neal or Ike Ekwonu. Evan Neal from Alabama, Ekwonu from NC State. Most people view them as the 2 top tackles in this class. So if the Jags decide to go offensive line to protect Trevor Lawrence, they did just hire an offensive coach in Doug Peterson, then that would mean one of the 2 edge rushers is going to be there for the Texans at 3. I wouldn't be opposed to the Texans trading down if they can get a good return. But because there's no super highly touted quarterback in this class, I'm not sure the Texans are going to get the return that they have to get if they are going to move down from 3. Teams usually don't get desperate to trade up for a D lineman or a corner or a safety. I mean, teams get desperate to trade up for a quarterback. And maybe a team falls in love with Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or somebody else to where they feel like they have to go all the way up to 3 to get that guy before Atlanta. Atlanta at 6 feels like the first team that might take a quarterback because Jacksonville's not going to take one. I don't think Detroit at 2 is going to take one. I guess they're a wild card there, but no mock drafts have the Lions taking a quarterback right now. Texans aren't going to take one. Then you've got the 2 New York teams. Neither of them are going to take one. So Atlanta at 6, they feel like the first team that's a threat to take a quarterback right now. So a team might want to trade up to 4 or 5. I don't know if a team is going to feel the need to trade all the way up to 3. So if one of the edge rushers are there, Luke, then I think the Texans will take that guy. If not, they might take a tackle, especially if they trade Laramie Tunsil. I think we can learn a lot about the Texans' draft plans before the draft happens. If Laramie Tunsil gets dealt before the end of April, then, okay, the Texans could be looking to take his replacement, number 3 overall. Even if one of the edge rushers is there, the Texans might decide to take the other offensive tackle if he doesn't go, or whoever doesn't go, number 1 overall. So my guess would be edge or OT, Luke, for the Texans at 3. Some mock drafts have the Texans taking Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. I love his game. Dude's a stud. He's got everything you want in a safety, but safety's just not a valuable enough position to take number 3. This team has way too many holes. Like if this team was a safety away from being awesome, then yeah, take Kyle Hamilton. But they've got way too many holes to fill to take a position as unvaluable as safety. So I hope that helps a little bit. Crip Turkey. Go Pack Go. Tough loss for y'all this year, man. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'm showing up next year with the paper bag on. Come on, Andrew. Are you happier that it's Lovie and not McCown? I feel like there are some people who are pleased with this news tonight. I don't think Lovie was anybody's top choice, but once again, the hashtag ABM, anyone but McCown. If you were on that train, then you're pretty satisfied with this evening's developments. Crazy. All right, I think Jake, one of my co-hosts, is on YouTube right now, so I might leave this and join his live stream on YouTube. Y'all make sure you follow him if you haven't yet. Just search Jake Asman on YouTube and subscribe to his channel. And subscribe to mine, of course, if you haven't done that yet. Appreciate the love. Flores is legit over. It sounds like it. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like Flores is no longer a candidate for the Texans job. I think the minute that lawsuit was filed, he wasn't a candidate for the Texans job. Honestly, I don't think he was ever a favorite, right? I think McCown was the favorite. I think McCown was going to be the guy. Then the lawsuit dropped, caused the Texans to change gears. They took a little bit more time, and they decided on Lovie. So Flores, to me, is legit over. I don't know if he was ever going to be the dude. I know he interviewed twice. I know the Texans named him as a finalist, but I never thought he was the favorite. At this point, yeah, I think it's a 0% chance that Brian Flores is the next head coach of the Houston Texans. And yeah, it is disappointing. You're not alone with those sentiments, TV. You are not alone with those sentiments. This was an embarrassing coaching search. The Texans have some egg on their face. They would have had more if Josh McCown was the guy, because I don't know how the hell you justify that. I don't know how the hell you sell that to a fan base. I don't know how the hell you sell that to the media. And it's just the PR nightmare that would have come the Texans' way would have been crazy. Shouldn't impact your decision, but it would have been crazy. We know that. Everybody knows that. Even before the Flores lawsuit came out, they would have gotten chastised for that move. But after, that's pouring kerosene on the fire. Galaxy Goat. I'll read a couple more comments before I go join Jake's YouTube live. And if y'all are looking for more Texans content, check that out too. I think Lovie Smith would be solid. He's connections with Pep from the Chicago days, so he could very well keep Pep. Yeah, he could. I don't know what's on Pep's mind right now. A few minutes ago, a lot of you guys probably heard me say this, but Pep Hamilton has apparently been requested to be interviewed by the Jacksonville Jaguars for their offensive coordinator vacancy. Of course, they just hired Doug Peterson as their head coach a couple of days ago. So maybe Pep is like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to deal with this franchise for another season. I want to go to Jacksonville. And that will tell you something. If a coach hates the Texans, if he thinks this franchise is dysfunctional and he wants to go to Jacksonville, like the Jags have been the most dysfunctional franchise in the league for a long time. But things are so bad here that a guy might be like, oh, it's better there than here. That's where the Texans are at right now. So maybe Pep stays. I know he's got connections with Lovie. Of course, they were both on staff last year as well, in addition to their Chicago days. So there's a relationship there. If Pep leaves, I don't think it would be because of Lovie. My guess is it would be just views that Jacksonville's a better situation. Likes Doug Peterson more, probably likes Trevor Lawrence more then Davis Mills. I wouldn't blame him for that. So, yeah, the Texans' plan, my guess, is to keep Pep around as the OC or promote him to OC. But if Pep takes the job in Jacksonville, obviously the Texans would have to go plan B. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. I'm going over to Jake's YouTube, Jake Asman on YouTube. Check it out. Subscribe to that channel if you haven't yet. Subscribe to this one if you haven't yet. Thank you all for stopping by. Appreciate the love, good feedback, good reaction. Thank you guys for joining the emergency YouTube live stream, as it appears that the Texans are zeroing in on Lovie Smith as their next head coach. I mean, out of nowhere. Appreciate the love. Quick plug for the Wheelhouse, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. We'll be on from 3 to 7 tomorrow. We've got you covered starting at 7 a.m. with John and Lance, ESPN975.com if you are outside the listening area. All right, guys, thanks for the love and support. Head over to Jake's channel. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.